In this lecture, we shall be discussing the topic Tribe Caste Continuum. I asked on the WhatsApp group if this topic has been completed or not. Only one person gave me a response saying, possibly it's not completed. Even that person was not sure. So anyways, I think I have not completed. It's because of different batch. I'll be handling many batches. So sometimes there is a confusion. However, I keep marking the topics as in how I finish it in this. I keep marking it in the syllabus copy, and that is what I've told you people also. So as in how you attend each lecture, you need to mark what all the topics which are completed. Anyways, fine. I think hopefully we have not discussed this topic, Tribe Caste Continuum. Without wasting any more time, let us begin today's topic. This is Unit 3.2. Unit 3.2. Unit 3.2 in paper 2 Anthropology, Tribe Caste Continuum. It is WM, okay? It is not W for woman, not W. It is 2 times U, okay? Tribe Caste Continuum. The concept of continuum owes its origin to Robert Redfield when he published the book The Folk Culture of Yucatan. Robert Redfield. Are you able to recall Robert Redfield? It's been quite some time we discussed topics in Indian anthropology. At the very beginning of our classes, we began with Indian anthropology, we discussed few topics, and then we moved to paper 1 anthropology, physical anthropology. So now after completing most of the topics in physical anthropology, we are back to topics in Indian anthropology. So I'm pretty sure most of you would have even forgotten who Robert Redfield is, right? It's okay, no problem. Once you read all the materials, you will be able to recall whatever I discussed in the class. And again, the videos are also on the website, right? So you can on the app, on the ALS OnLab app. So whenever you feel that you have forgotten or you're not able to recall, you can always go back to the videos and check the videos again. So that is one advantage you have with the online classes, isn't it? In an offline class, you come sit there, we teach, and it's over. But this is the advantage you are having in an online class. So even after attending the class, in case you're not able to recall or you didn't understand anything properly, you always have the option of going back to the app and checking the videos again. Fine. So the concept of continuum owes its origin to Robert Redfield when he published The Folk Culture of Yucatan. So here in this book called as The Folk Culture of Yucatan, Robert Redfield gives us the concept of continuum. So continuum is a very new word which we have learnt it now, isn't it? Otherwise we wouldn't have heard this term called as continuum so far. So he says that the gradual process through which a tribal group transforms itself into a caste group is designated as tribe caste continuum. Actually, before moving into what is exactly tribe caste continuum, let me tell you the background of the story, how Robert Redfield gave us this concept of continuum. So Robert Redfield did his studies in the Mexican village where he got influenced by the Mexican culture. So he spent enormous time for the revival of Mexican culture, and when he studied the Mexican culture, he found that it was very difficult for him to demarcate between folk culture and urban culture. So you know what is folk culture and what is urban culture, isn't it? Robert Redfield, being inspired by the culture of Mexican communities, and when he was striving for the revival of the Mexican culture of the Mexican communities, he found it very difficult to demarcate or put a line between folk culture and urban culture. He found that there were few elements of folk culture which could be found in an urban culture. Similarly, there were few elements of urban culture which were found in the folk culture. So it was very difficult for him to make watertight compartments or totally demarcate between the two cultures. Okay, so it is just like, can you separate water and oil which is mixed together? It becomes difficult. You cannot entirely separate them. Though water, though water stands in below and oil floats on the surface, still, it is very difficult to completely demarcate them or completely isolate them, right? So similarly, Robert Redfield found it very difficult to completely demarcate the folk culture from the urban culture. So then he gave us this concept called as continuum. He said the folk culture, through a gradual process, transforms itself into an urban culture. This process doesn't happen overnight. It is a slow procedure which continues slowly, gradually. This is a gradual procedure which happens. So that is why he used the term continuum. He called it as folk urban continuum. Folk urban continuum. Did you understand? So Robert Redfield, during his studies in Mexican village, found it very difficult to demarcate between folk and urban culture. He said that it is not always possible to distinguish or discriminate or to distinguish between two segments of society as completely disjunctive society. So he said we cannot completely separate the folk culture from the urban culture. There's a continuity happening. There's a gradual process of transformation of the folk culture into the urban culture. So you cannot view the two societies as completely disjunctive entities. And that is why in his book, The Folk Culture of Yucatan, he gave us the concept of folk urban continuum. Remember this? He did not give us the concept of tribe caste continuum. The concept of tribe caste continuum owes its origin to the concept of folk urban continuum, which was given by Robert Redfield in his book Folk Culture of Yucatan. So based on this concept of continuum given by Robert Redfield, it was applied to the Indian context, where we also had difficulties in demarcating between a tribal group and a caste group, and it was applied in the Indian context as tribe caste continuum. Okay, so try to understand. Robert Redfield did studies among the Mexican communities. There he found it very difficult to demarcate between the folk culture and the urban culture. He said that there's a gradual process of transformation from the folk culture towards the urban culture that is going on, and this procedure or this process he called it as continuum. He called it as folk urban continuum in his book Folk Culture of Yucatan. Later what happened in India, even the census officials faced similar problems in demarcating between a tribal group and a caste group. So when did the first census begin in our country? Can any of you tell me? I'll be waiting for your answer. Okay, so similar to the problem which was faced by Robert Redfield, even the census commissioners in India, they also faced the same problem. They could not identify which exactly is a tribal group and which exactly is a caste group. They found it difficult to demarcate between the tribal group and the caste group. Okay, so since the last decade of 19th century, the problem of tribe caste continuum has attracted the attention of Indian ethnographers and census commissioners. Then they applied the same concept given by Robert Redfield in Indian context. Okay, so in Indian context, they also found that it is not always prudent to view the tribal society and caste society as two disjunctive entities. Instead, we should view it as a continuous process. A gradual process of transformation is happening from a tribal group towards the caste group. The tribal group is slowly, gradually transforming itself into a caste group. There are certain elements or characters of the tribal group which are present among the caste group, and there are certain traits or characters or elements of the caste group which are also present in the tribal group. So we cannot totally completely demarcate those two, that is saying this is a tribal group and this is a caste group. We cannot do that. There are mixing of elements between the both. Okay, so tribal elements are found in caste group elements are found in tribal group. So what is happening is a gradual process of transformation of a tribal group towards a caste group is happening, and this is what they called it as tribe caste continuum. Okay, so Robert Redfield, when he studied the Mexican communities, he found it difficult to demarcate between the folk culture and the urban culture, and he gave us the concept of folk urban continuum in his book Folk Culture Fugitive. Later, in India, the census commissioners also faced a similar kind of problem. That is, they were not able to demarcate and say which exactly is a tribal group and which exactly is a caste group. They found few elements of tribal group present in caste group and vice versa, and they took the concept of continuum, which was given by Robert Redfield, and applied it to the Indian context as tribe caste continuum. Okay, are you all following? Risley pointed out that it was difficult to draw a demarcating line between a tribe and a caste. He said that there are 4 processes by which the transformation of the tribes into caste can occur. Okay, he gives us, Risley gives us, who is Risley first of all? Tell me, I'll be waiting for your... Okay, so Risley pointed out that it was difficult to draw a demarcating line between a tribe and a caste. So he mentioned 4 processes by which the transformation of the tribal group into a caste group is affected or it is carried out. So what are they? First one is the leading men of some aboriginal tribe somehow get into the world and become independent land proprietors, manage to enroll themselves in one or more of the distinguished caste. So some leading men belonging to the aboriginal tribes. So there will be some people who originally belong to a tribal group and who are living inside the forest. But some of them, what they will do is they will try to enter into the outer world, and they will try to acquire land, property, wealth, and slowly they will enroll themselves into the caste designations. So this is how they transform from a tribal group to a caste group. So this is one of the processes which was mentioned by Risley. Second one is a number of aborigines embrace the tenets of Hindu religious sect, thereby losing their tribal name. So what people, again the tribal population will do is they start following the cultural practices of the Hindu sect, Hinduism or Hindu religion, and slowly start enrolling themselves among the Hindu groups. Then a whole tribe or aborigines or a tribe enroll themselves in the ranks of Hinduism under the name of a new caste. So an entire tribe altogether, they create a new caste identity for themselves and they enroll in the ranks of Hinduism. This is also one way of converting themselves from a tribe to a caste group. Then a whole tribe of aborigines or a section become converted to Hinduism without abandoning their tribal designation. So this is also a possibility. So what happens is many of the tribal population, when they come into outside world, that is they come into culture contact with the outside world, they convert their religion into Hinduism. However, they still practice their tribal beliefs and cultures and traditions. So this is also one of the process through which a tribal group transforms itself into a caste group. Okay, Risley gives us 4 important processes through which a tribe possibly can convert himself into a caste group. Okay, so this processes, whatever I have mentioned, is not processes which happens overnight. So today a tribe comes out of the forest and tomorrow he gets enrolled into a caste group. So no, it doesn't happen like that. It is a very slow and gradual process which takes many years and years and years. Okay, then more academic rigor was applied. More academic rigor was applied to this concept when J.H. Hutton took over the charge of census operations. In 1931, J.H. Hutton took over the charge of census operations, and then after this, that is after 1931, the concept of tribe caste continuum became very important. Then Andre Bately, this is also very important. Whenever you write an answer on tribe caste continuum, your examiner will expect you to write about Andre Bately. So Andre Bately tried to differentiate between tribes and caste using the following attributes. Andre however you pronounce it, Andre Bately or Betil, whatever. So later came Andre Bately, who said that we can differentiate between tribes and the caste, and he says, I will give you a certain points or attributes which, if fulfilled by a group, you can consider them as a tribal group, and if they do not fulfill those criteria, you can consider them as a caste group. First and foremost, he says is geographical isolation. So we all know that the tribal groups or tribal people are living in deep jungles in inaccessible areas. So he says if a group of people is present or are living in deep jungles in inaccessible areas, then you can consider them as a tribal group. Then second one is language. A tribe should speak a different language from major Indian languages. So among Indian languages, we have many languages which are recognized by the constitution itself, right? So prominently we have Hindi, Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, like that. So apart from, if there is a group of people who do not speak any of these prominent Indian languages and they have their own language or dialect, then we can consider them as a tribal group. Then third one is religion. So when you look at their religion, if you look at the religions which are present in the common mainstream society or in the outside world, if you consider, they are Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, Jainism, isn't it? These are the common religions. So he says that a tribal group they have unique cultural belief and practices, and they are not a part of the Hinduism. That is, they follow religious practices which are not common to Hindu religion. So he says that, and earlier the census commissioners had difficulty in demarcating between a tribe and a caste group. They said it is very difficult to demarcate between a tribe and a caste because certain characters of tribes are present among caste groups and certain characters of caste groups are present among the tribal population. So it is difficult to demarcate them. Hence, we can go along with the concept of continuum, which was given by Robert Redfield as folk-urban continuum. So same concept we will apply to Indian context as tribe caste continuum. However, Andre Bately comes and says, no, it is not that difficult to demarcate between a caste and a tribal group. If it is a tribal group, then they will have a geographical isolation. They will have a different language which is not common to rest of the languages widely spoken in our country. And then the third one is their religious beliefs and practices will not be similar or will not be common to Hindu religion. So if any group is having these three attributes or characteristics, then we can consider them as a tribal group, and those groups of people who do not come under this can be considered as a caste group. Then comes F.G. Bailey. Then comes F.G. Bailey. So F.G. Bailey, in his book Tribe and Caste in India in 1961, he suggested that we should avoid the tendency of viewing tribe and caste as disjunctive entities. Instead, they should be viewed as a continuum. According to him, caste is organic and hereditary. Sorry, caste is organic and hierarchical, and tribe is segmentary and egalitarian. So F.G. Bailey in 1961 in his book Tribe and Caste in India, he says that yes, it is difficult to view a tribal society and a caste society as two disjunctive entities, that is, as two separate entities. It is not possible for us to demarcate or separate the tribal group and the caste group as two disjunctive societies or two separate societies. Hence, we should adopt the practice of continuum. So we should look at them as tribe caste continuum. So he says that a caste group is organic and hierarchical. So what do we mean by hierarchical? A caste group is hierarchical. That means in caste group we have rankings, isn't it? We can arrange them one above the other. So we have various castes which have been arranged in different positions with respect to each other. Some castes are higher caste, some are lower caste, so some occupy the lowermost rung of the society. So we can arrange various castes in the hierarchical fashion, just like a ladder, one step above, one step below, we can arrange that. Whereas a tribal society is not like that. A tribal society is segmented and egalitarian. So what we mean by egalitarian and segmented? A tribal society is segmented. So even though there is division among the tribal societies also, we do not have a hierarchy. All of them are equal. So here, suppose this, if you consider as a tribal society, you can see that yes, there are divisions among tribal societies also. However, these divisions are not one above the other. So in a tribal society, though there is different clan, different kinds of groupings among the tribes also, isn't it? Sir would have discussed in detail about the tribal groupings like clan, moiety, fatry, all these things. Yes, there is grouping among the tribal society also, but here there is nothing like high or low. This tribal society occupies a higher position, this tribal society occupies a lower position, this group is high, this group is low. There's nothing like that. Even though there are divisions in a tribal society also, all of them are equal. This is what we mean by segmented and egalitarian, whereas that is not the case with a caste group. In a caste group, we have divided people into different groups, and these groups are placed in different positions. Some are placed in a higher pedestal, some are placed in a lower pedestal, and that again, there is no fixed ranking among them also. It again depends on the position of one caste, depends upon which caste it is being compared with. Right? So there's no number one rank, so number one rank is this caste, number two rank is this caste, there's nothing like that. However, we make a hierarchical arrangement where we place certain castes at the topmost position, certain castes in the next, certain castes in the next, and certain castes at the lowermost position. So this is a hierarchy where we are placing one above the other, isn't it? This is what we mean by hierarchical fashion. Then comes Surajit Sinha. Next comes Surajit Sinha. Surajit Sinha. So Surajit Sinha was again a student of Robert Redfield, and he did enormous field work in Bastar. Okay, he did field work in Bastar, and he found that the lower caste in India Surajit Sinha was a student of Robert Redfield. He did field work in Bastar, and based on his field work, he found that the lower caste in India shared few traits with the tribals. And he said that these are the following aspects of a tribal population. So Surajit Sinha he was also a student of Robert Redfield. During his field work in Bastar, he identified or he witnessed that there are certain characteristics of the lower caste groups which are similar to that of the tribal population. And he gave us different attributes, saying these are the attributes which are specific to the tribal population. He says that they have emphasis on equality in social behavior, and they have freedom of cultural participation of women. As I already told you, emphasis on equality, which means they're an egalitarian group. There's no discrimination based on sex or based on position or based on any other attributes, just like how it happens in the caste groups, isn't it? In caste groups, we have various hierarchy depending on the position of the people, depending upon which caste they belong to. They are classified into different groups and they're arranged in a hierarchical fashion. Whereas he says that in a tribal society, there is equality, there is no discrimination that a certain sex, whether a male or female, they are having better, they have, they are placed at a better pedestal. That is what is happening among the caste groups, isn't it? Men are always kept at a higher pedestal in comparison to women, right? So, but that is not the case in terms of a tribal society where both men and women are equal. Men have equal rights like that of the woman, and women have equal freedom as that of the man. Then also they have a good value system. So Surajit Sinha says these are the traits or these are the aspects of a tribal population, that is emphasis on equality, having good values, and then freedom of cultural participation of women. Then he says that there are certain traits which are, or certain characters or certain practices which are followed by the lower caste people, and these practices are similar to what the tribal people follow. So he says that the supernaturalism of lower caste tribes is similar to that of the tribes. So supernaturalism, belief in anima, animatism, bongaism, ho-bongaism, manaism, totemism. So what are all these? So belief in the supernatural powers, that is a unique trait of the tribal population, isn't it? Sir would have discussed when he discussed a religion chapter. So they have belief, they do not practice the other religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism. No, they have their religion like animism, animatism, manaism, totemism, ho-bongaism. So these are the belief in supernatural parts. So they believe in animism, that is anima means spirit or soul. Okay, they believe in totems, that is they believe certain the animal is a totem, is a god, and they are descendants of that totem. They believe in mana, that is some particular object has mana or supernatural powers. It might be a pig, it might be a tree in the forest, it might be a rock, right? They believe that that object, it might be living or non-living object, they believe that that particular object has power and they worship that. This is what we call it as supernatural, belief in supernaturalism. So in what Surajit Sinha observed was many lower caste communities had belief in supernaturalism and they followed the practices of supernaturalism. So this is a trait which is unique to tribal population. However, it is being practiced by the lower caste communities. Okay, so he said there are, even though we can say these are the traits of the tribal population, that they are having egalitarian values, they are having emphasis on equality and all these things, still it is very difficult for us to demarcate between a tribe and a caste group. So he says even after all the research, okay, even though we study so much and do so much research, still there are certain practices of the tribals which are followed by the caste groups and vice versa. So it is very difficult to entirely or totally discriminate between the two groups. He even gives an example for this. He says the Juansari tribes of the Cis Himalayan region practice jati or the caste system of Hindu. So we know that caste system is very much an important character of the caste groups, where we divide people into different castes based on their birth. So we divide them into depending on the caste in which they are born into, that is it is a ascribed status, right? So ascribed or innate nature, that is you are born into a caste. You cannot decide which caste you want to be, right? It is not something which you choose after birth. Your caste comes along with you right from your birth. So he says that the Juansari tribe of Cis Himalayan region practice jati or caste system. So there's no concept of caste system among tribal people, isn't it? Their system or their society is a egalitarian society. It is a segmented and egalitarian society. However, even among those tribes of the Juansari tribes of the Cis Himalayan region, you can find the practice of caste system. What does this mean? Some traits of the caste groups are present among the tribes, right? The practice of caste system, which is prevalent among the caste groups, is being practiced by the tribal population. Then in Mahabharata, they also follow the practice of pollution and purity. What do you mean by pollution and purity? So in caste groups, we have this concept of higher caste and lower caste, isn't it? So earlier days, what many people belonging to higher caste would do is they would not touch the people belonging to the lower caste. They were not allowed, the lower caste people were not allowed to enter into the homes of the higher caste, or they were not allowed to utilize the same roads, same wells for drinking water, and even the lower caste people were prohibited from entering into the temples which were visited by the higher caste communities. So this is what we mean by pollution and purity. They believe that if they touch a member of a higher caste, if they touch a member of a lower caste, then they become polluted. So usually Brahmins and again, let's not take particular caste names. So members belonging to higher caste, what they would do is, by mistake, if they touch a member belonging to lower caste, they believe that they got polluted and they used to go back and they used to take a complete bath ritual once again, and then they would purify themselves. Isn't it? Same is the case with sharing of food also. So I have already discussed all these points when we discussed caste system in depth, right? So commensality, that is, members belonging to higher and lower caste would not sit together and have food. Common dining was not permitted. Right? So we have discussed all of this in depth in the caste system chapter. So this practice of pollution and purity is present among the caste groups, whereas a tribal society is egalitarian and segmented. Whereas you can find that this Juansari tribes, they follow the practice of pollution and purity, and they also follow the practice of jati. That means they are following certain characters of the caste groups, isn't it? So in Mahabharata and Ramayana, there are references of little tradition of khasa and bills. In Ramayana and Mahabharata, there is mention of little tradition of khasa and bills. So what does this show? This shows that the process of exchange of little tradition and great tradition did not happen very recently. It has been happening since a very old time, even from the time of Mahabharata and Ramayana. Okay. Then comes Nirmal Kumar Bose. Nirmal Kumar Bose, in his book, The Hindu Method of Tribal Absorption. Nirmal Kumar Bose, in his book, The Hindu Method of Tribal Absorption, says that there are certain similarities in the customs between tribes and caste, and they are interdependent. He says that there are certain similarities in the customs. So there are certain customs which are followed by both the tribal group as well as the caste group, and they are interdependent on each other. So what are they? First is, the marriage within the clan is forbidden both in the tribe as well as in the caste. So in a tribal group, if you see, marriage within the same clan is not permitted. So clan is a small grouping among the tribes. It consists of, say, some 5 to 6 families which move together as a single unit, and within them, so the boys and girls within that clan cannot marry. Marriage should happen only between boys and girls belonging to different clans. Same is the case with caste groups also. You can see that you cannot marry your own cousins, isn't it? Be it paternal cousins, maternal cousin. Again, it again varies between North India and South India. In South India, we have cross cousin marriages also, right? Though we don't have parallel cousin marriages in Hinduism. So in Islam, you can see parallel cousin marriages also. However, in Hinduism, in North India, even cross cousins are not considered as a possible partner. So cross cousin marriages are not permitted. Whereas in South India, yes, uncle niece marriages happen, cross-cousin marriages, few cross-cousin marriages are permitted. However, you can see that within the family or within the close family or the extended family, marriage is not allowed. So you cannot marry a boy or a girl within your family or within your extended family, isn't it? Same is the case with the tribal group also. People cannot marry within their own clan. So you can see this custom practiced in both tribal society as well as the caste society. Then both tend to maintain their group identity. Then comes Max Weber. He says that an Indian tribe loses its territorial significance when it assumes the form, when it takes up the form of a caste. Okay. Max Weber is again very important. Okay, so whoever names I have mentioned in this entire chapter, their name, the book which they have written, and what they speak about tribe caste continuum is very important. So Max Weber says that whenever an Indian tribe loses its territorial significance, it assumes the form of an Indian caste. That is, when they move out of their territory. So originally we say that the tribal group are geographically isolated. They are living in deep jungles. So when they move out of these their own territorial regions into the outer world, then itself they lose their tribal. That is what he says, that when an Indian tribe loses its territorial significance, automatically they assume the form of a caste group. Okay, he says that whenever they move out of their territorial from their territorial region, they automatically become a caste group. So he says that despite the distinct differences between a tribe and a caste, a gradual and silent change from a tribe to a caste is taking place. So no matter we might think, okay, these are the certain traits which are present or which are exhibited by a tribal group. Say for example, geographical isolation, a distinct language or dialect, right? And then religion, a different religion away from the other religions commonly practiced in a country. So these are no doubt the characters of a tribal group. However, you can see that a slow and a gradual process of transformation of a tribal group to a caste group is happening. So this is a slow, gradual, continuous process. It does not happen overnight. So despite the differences between a tribe and caste, so there are many characters which are unique to a tribal group, many characters which are unique to a caste group. And there are certain characters of tribal group which are practiced by caste group. There are certain characters or customs of the caste group which are again practiced by the tribal group. So there is intermixing of the customs and traditions between the tribe and the caste. However, you can notice that a slow and a gradual transformation of a tribal group into a caste group is happening. And this silent change from the tribe to caste group is affected when a tribe enters the Hindu society by adopting the clan and a name of a caste. So this is what we call it as tribe caste continuum. So overall, though there are certain characters or traits of a tribe exhibited by a caste group and vice versa, we can see that a slow, gradual, silent transformation of a tribal group into a caste group is happening when they move out into the outside world and they enroll themselves into Hinduism, or they take up a Hindu caste surname and they start practicing the religious beliefs of other religion like Hinduism. Then they start getting into the caste group. This silent gradual process is termed as tribe caste continuum. Did you all understand? Fine. Now shall we move on to the next topic? Now we shall discuss the next topic, karma. Unit 3.1. Unit 3.1 Karma in paper 2 Anthropology. So what is karma? Many times you can hear people speaking, it's all my karma, it's my fate, right? What shall I do? After 3 attempts also I'm not clearing prelims, it's my karma. Isn't it? So it's not your karma, probably you're not in the right direction of your preparation, or possibly you're not following the right strategies in marking your answer, or even before that, maybe you're not taking this exam seriously and not preparing for it properly. So even after you put in enough efforts, you're studying very well and you're preparing properly, you're reading well, still if you don't clear, that means probably your approach towards the exam and the way you are solving the questions, the way you're practicing MCQs, that is not right, isn't it? Fine. Karma. The origin of the term karma is from kra. It's from kra. Kra. What does kra mean? Kra, which means all kind of activities. Okay, so the origin of the term karma is from this 3 letters KRA, which means all kind of activities. So here activities are related to birth and death, and when karma is performed according to the rules, it becomes duty. When karma is performed according to the rules, it becomes duty. So what is your duty? As a student, your duty is to study, prepare for the exam, put in all your efforts and prepare well for the exam and take up the examination. That is your duty. So if you're working somewhere, what is your duty? As an employee of that organization, you have to abide by all the rules. So you have to do whatever the work that are assigned to you as per your designation and your responsibility. That is your karma over there, right? So karma is the action and the consequence of action. So karma is not just doing some deed or activity. What are the consequences of that? That is also karma. So it refers to the belief in the efficacy of actions of a person, which may be good or bad. So we have this belief in the efficacy of actions. So whatever activities we do, it might be good or bad, and whatever consequences of that action, that is also karma. Okay, so karma means act or action. The results of one's act may remain unrealized in a single lifetime, and karma is tied to the notion of future births, that is punarjanma or rebirth. So according to Hinduism, we have this belief that human beings' life is not limited to a single birth. We have this belief that we have already discussed in the chapter moksha, isn't it? Rina, rebirth, moksha. Are you able to recall? So we discussed about rebirth, moksha, that is attainment of salvation. So if you completely do very good deeds throughout your life, then you completely get liberated from this endless cycle of birth and rebirth, and you reach the God's lotus feet, that is Paramatma or Brahma. So Brahma or Paramatma is the creator of this universe, and we all believe that we are a part of Brahma. A part of Brahma's soul, a part of Brahma is the soul which resides in us. That is why we say God is nowhere, God is within us, right? God resides, okay, we might say throughout many people's journey in the life, they keep searching for God. They keep asking, where is God? Where is God? Where can I find him? They go to the Himalayas, they go to temple, they go to masjid, they find everywhere. Then one day or at one point of time, they realize that God is nowhere. He is within you. You are God. Aham Brahmasmi. That is, you are God. A person who knows himself, the knower becomes, the person who knows himself becomes God himself. That is when you attain moksha. Isn't it? We have discussed all of this in the moksha chapter itself. So here the results of whatever activities which we are doing, whether it is good or bad, the consequences might not come back to us in the same janma or in the same birth. So if we do lot of bad deeds, and in the next when we are born, that time we might get the consequences of whatever acts we did in a previous birth, isn't it? So many people, you can see, they'll be very good at heart, they will be doing all good things, still they will have lot of sufferings in their family, their own personal lives, right? So many people believe that, okay, possibly it is because of the bad deeds which they have conducted in their previous birth. Maybe in this birth they are very good and they're doing all good deeds only, whereas in the previous birth they would have done lot of bad deeds, and as a result of that, in this birth they are suffering, isn't it? Fine. So it is a belief in the efficacy of actions of a person, whether it is good or bad. And karma is the action and the consequence of action. So karma is not just what we are doing, whether it is right or wrong. The what action we are doing and the consequences. So that activity, whether it is leading to something good to others or it is leading to bad, both the consequences will come back to you. So suppose you are helping your friend, or you are helping a person in need, somebody meets with an accident, you go help them, so that is a good deed, and sometime the consequence of that action might come back to you. Someday possibly you are in need of help of someone, so your friends might come back and help you, so that is a consequence. Whereas you voluntarily do some bad deeds to people, okay, you go and create confusion in somebody's life, you speak very wrong things about them and make sure that they don't get a particular job, or they don't pass in the exam, or some bad deeds you do to your friend, so it might come back to you back in some other form. So that is a consequence. So both the action and the consequence is karma. There are various elements of karma. Karma necessitates another janma in order to reward or punish his or her action. So they say that karma doesn't come back instantly. So whatever good or bad deeds you do, the consequences of that, you might not be able to receive the consequences of that instantly. However, it will come back to you in the next births, whatever you take. So you can see some people will be doing lot of very bad deeds. Like you can see there's criminals, right? They will kill many people, they will kill innocent people, they will rape women, they do a lot of illegal activities, still they will be having a very good life. So you cannot say that they are definitely happy. So the consequences of whatever action they are doing, it might come back to them in their next birth. So according to Kantopanishad, the soul may even take the form of a plant or trees according to the action and knowledge. So this is also a belief that based on the acts and the deeds which you do in your present birth, you will get a birth according to that in your next birth. So if you do lot of bad activities, it is said that you will not get a higher form of birth, instead you will get a lower form of birth where you will have to suffer a lot, isn't it? According to Caste-Upanishad, every action will be punished or rewarded according to the individual's action and knowledge, and the soul take the form of a fish, moth, worm, bird, leopard, or a human, or any inanimate object also. So it depends. So what will be your next birth, whether it will be higher than human form. There's nothing higher than human form, right? That is God only. So ultimately, if you attain moksha, you will go reach the God. So depending on what are the deeds or actions which you do in this janma, you will get a birth in the next janma. So if you do a lot of bad deeds, you will get lower forms of birth, and the lower forms have too much of sufferings, right? They are not really happy. Then karma explains why sometimes persons who should deserve happiness and success in life are always not happy. That's what I told you. So some people, you can find that they'll study a lot, they will put in a lot of efforts, they do all good deeds, still they won't be able to succeed very well in life, despite doing all the necessary steps to succeed. So then we can understand that possibly they are suffering for the previous birth's karma. Then karma is indispensable. So it is linked to the mortality and morality aspects of the human. So karma influences the entire course and future course of life also. So it is, your karma doesn't end with your death. So many people will think, okay, so what? I will do all the bad activities, bad actions. I will kill people. I will do everything illegal, and when I die, it is done. I will not suffer anymore. No, but that is not the case. Karma will continue to your next generations also. Got it? Then we have various doctrines of karma, out of which the doctrine Karma Yoga by Gita is very important. I will be discussing this at the end. Okay, Karma Yoga by Gita is very important. So, the term karma literally means action, work, or deed, and any kind of intentional action, whether it is mental action, verbal, or physical, is regarded as karma. So, karma doesn't mean the action which you do physically alone. Even thinking very wrong, wishing that somebody should not progress or wishing that somebody should not pass the exam, all this, even thinking, thoughts are also actions. Okay, so think mental thoughts, verbal, what we speak, right? So just cursing someone, saying, okay, nowadays you can see on social media when somebody is they post videos or whatever posts on any social media, Facebook or Instagram, people start judging them so instantly without knowing what is their position. Recently, this week only, what's her name? That Pushpa heroine. See, when I have to tell in class, suddenly I'll forget the names. Her post was there. So it seems she was walking out of a restaurant. What's her name? Mandana, right? Rashmika, yeah, Rashmika Mandana. So she had posted something, somebody posted a video of hers on social media. So in that video, you can see that she was walking out of a restaurant and few tiny kids, they were coming and asking her for money to have food, whereas she denied money for them and she just posed for photographers and she got into a car and she moved. So all the people in the comment section were abusing her like anything. They were cursing her like anything. See, she's earning so much money. She has so much wealth. Why can't she give little bit amount of money for those children who are hungry? They would have had a good meal and so on. So who are we to judge their lives? See, in a signal, you can see many of us, when we also drive, we are in cars, maybe we'll be lost in some thoughts, we are rushing to a workplace, or we have so many things. Sometimes when we have money, when we have change, or when we feel like we give them money, many times we also ignore, isn't it? It's not like in a city, if you move from one end to the other end of the city in a car or two-wheeler, at every signal junction, there are people who come and ask for money. So if you have to lend money to them every single day, it becomes, it becomes difficult, right? You'll have to spend at least close to 500 to 1000 rupees every day for this. So that will come up to at least 20 to 30,000 per month. Can we afford that? It becomes difficult, right? So ultimately, when we have money, when we are in the mood to give money, we do it. Otherwise, we don't do. So when she's also a common man like us. Instead, she is a celebrity, and it's her life, her money. She decides whether she wants to give or not to give. Who are we to judge? Isn't it? Many times people think that the moment a celebrity's life is out on social media, they can comment whatever they want. Not just about this, even about heroines wearing clothes or dresses or swimsuits or bikini, whatever. Recently, I read few comments like that on Samantha's posts. So she, I think even before she announced divorce, that she's going to divorce, there were few posts which she shared on Instagram, in which she was on a holiday where she was wearing a bikini and all. So many people started commenting, how can Samantha be like this? She's a married woman. How can a married woman dress like this? Who are we to judge that? There's no rules that a woman's life has to completely turn upside down 360 degrees just because she married. She's still a woman, right? Does it change for a man like that? No. There is hardly any change in a man's life, be it before marriage or after marriage. Whereas a lot happens in a woman's life. Okay, let's not get into that discussion now. Let's continue with karma. So, karma is the sum total of our acts both in a present life and in a preceding births. So whatever acts we have done in this birth as well as whatever acts we have done in our preceding births, that is in our earlier births, all of that accumulated forms a karma. So it means not only action but also the result of action or the consequence of action. The whole life centers on karma and no one lives without doing karma. So actually, according to Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that action alone is not karma, even not doing anything is also karma. Action and inaction is also karma. Got it? Just like that ad. We get that 5-star ad, isn't it? You must have watched it on TV. So there will be an old lady sitting on a chair and she asks a guy who's standing nearby to help her in something. And that guy is busy eating 5-star chocolate and he ignores her. Then finally that lady realizes that she has to do it herself and she gets up from the chair and moves. Then there's a wall which breaks down and falls on that chair. So then she thanks that boy, thanks for doing nothing. Then you'll get this tagline of 5-star chocolate, eat 5-star, do nothing, right? So similarly, karma is not just action and the consequences of action, even inaction is also karma. Say there is something that is happening right in front of your eyes, somebody is stealing or doing some abusing a woman, still you do not take any action, you just keep quiet, then also it will lead to your karma. Right? So action and inaction is also karma. Then karma occupies a central position in Indian philosophy and it is associated with the doctrine of rebirth, moksha, samsara, and it cannot be abrogated by a person but can be mitigated by God alone. So what is the importance of this karma? It serves as a foundation for ethical and religious understanding. Yes, it gives us ethical values and norms, isn't it? If there was no concept of karma, anybody will lead their life just like how they want. They would hurt people, be it physically, mentally, or they would abuse people, they will kill people. Because of this fear of karma, it stops us from doing many wrong deeds. It is disciplining our life, isn't it? So it is a foundation for the ethical and religious understanding. A good intent and good actions contribute to good karma and future happiness, whereas bad intent and actions contribute to bad karma. So our good karma and bad karma are accumulated over many lives, that is different births. So whatever there'll be, I think, a measuring scale, okay, where all a good karma is put on one weighing pan, and all the bad karma is put on another weighing pan, and it is possibly, probably weighed like this and seen, okay, whether we have done more good deeds or bad deeds, and accordingly we will be given a birth, and what are the circumstances or the situations we will face in that birth will mostly be determined by what we have done in our previous births, whether good or bad. Then we have karma divided into 4 parts, that is sanchita karma, prarabdha karma, kriyamana karma and agama karma. Sanchita karma is the sum total of all the karma in our previous lifetimes. So in our previous many births, what are all the good and bad deeds we have done? All the sum of all of that is the sanchita karma. Then prarabdha karma is so based on whatever sanchita karma we have, that is in the previous births, whatever good and bad deeds we have done, that is summed up, and based on that, what we get in this present incarnation or in this present birth is based on that, what is allocated for us in this lifetime is called as prarabdha karma. Then agami karma, so whatever the portion of karma that is created by the actions in our present life, which also gets added to sanchita karma, that is called as agami karma. Then kriyamana karma is the instant daily karma. Just like how we have these recharges, right? Like that we are getting this Sanchita karma, Prarabdha karma, Agami karma and Kriyamana karma, which is the instant daily karma. So instantly every single day, whatever activities you are doing, that is Kriyamana karma. Okay. Then see, this is very important. In Bhagavad Gita, okay, so in this entire karma chapter, what is the